Hello and welcome to Talking Royals. I'm Charlene White and I'd love to be able to say that we're joined by our royal editor Chris Shipp, but we're not. Royal producer Lizzie Robertson, are we?
We're not. It's just me, I'm afraid.
Just the two of us, because apparently Chris isn't very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not feeling great, but I've still turned up.
So I'm flying solo. So,
yes, you are.
But we can still catch up on all the week's royal news.
We will, absolutely. And then if Chris feels to deign us with his presence next week, then he can. Right, we're starting off in Wales, aren't we?
Yeah. So I went to Wales yesterday with the Prince and Princess of Wales, and it was their first joint visit there since October 2023. Both have been individually since the Princess went recently. We spoke about it on the podcast, but it's their first joint visit to Wales for a long time.
Yeah.
And
so why?
They were there principally they went to Pontypridd. I've been practicing with our Welsh reporter Reese, so I was like, say it again, make sure I get it right. They were there because the area has been hit badly by flooding due to recent storms Dara and Bert, and they wanted to meet the community and also businesses that have been affected by those storms and by that flooding. But they also were there to have a bit of fun, and they were making Welsh cakes in the market. And Kate and William are famously competitive. They love going head to head, so it's always quite fun when you pitch them against one another. And
yeah,
you know, there were quips from Kate about, oh, I bet you've been, you know, Googling, and William saying, oh, Mary Berry taught me everything I know. So it was a lot of fun. And you know, I think pictures like that, and when they get hands-on like that, it makes great TV images, it makes great photographs, and then we all talk about it, don't we?
Yeah, and also it feels a little bit like we're getting to know them a little bit better as a couple. And as you sort of, you know, we were telling me, they're just a bit more tactile with each other, and they're showing that side of them, which is nice.
It's been quite interesting, actually, over the last few months. I think, you know, we saw some pictures yesterday that Kensington Palace posted on their social media of Kate and William at the train station. They got the train to Wales and got actually delayed. They got diverted because of flooding on the tracks. But they posted these images on their social media of Kate and William going to the train station, and they were holding hands. And recently we've had quite personal messages posted on social media. We had the Valentine's Day post. We had a very touching post from Prince William for Kate's birthday. And I think they're showing a little bit more of that intimate and personal side than perhaps we've seen in the past from them.
Well, do you know what? I would argue, tell me if I'm wrong, Lizzie, but I would argue it's a little bit more of an Americanization style of dealing with royals, I guess. And it's something that we're seeing with Harry and Meghan, well, ever since they got together, really, holding hands, being very tactile, being very soppy with each other. We've seen a lot of that, and that's done well for an American market. It may not always play out so well here, but it does well in an American market. And maybe they're just following in their footsteps and realising, actually, as not that I call us consumers, but as, I know, lovers of the royal family or followers of the royal family, we like to see that. It's very modern, isn't it?
I think, you know, the last year for the royal family has been incredibly challenging. We know that with, you know, what both the Princess of Wales and the King have been through and are going through. And I think, you know, it gives you a new perspective on life. And, you know, the Princess has spoken about how she has a new sort of view of the world and how important loved ones are and family are, and perhaps she has decided that actually showing off that side is is important to her, and she's not going to hide that anymore. And I think it's really lovely, but it is definitely just a slight change, I think I've noticed in them.
Yeah, and it's quite nice.
And they are, you know, they're a very good team, and they've always worked incredibly well together on engagements, and you see that there's a great rapport between them. But it's just that slightly more personal side of the relationship that we're seeing more publicly, and I think, you know, people have really liked that.
Yeah, and it works well for you know, because obviously they're in Wales for a reason, to highlight you know, those affected by flooding. And yes, people may see behind the scenes that they have that sort of rapport, but being able to see that on screen and in photographs for us looking at those things, it's really lovely for us to see that rapport. And it also helps when they're trying to get a message across like they were yesterday.
Yeah, and there was a really serious message yesterday. Yes, there was lots of fun going on with the Welsh cakes. I tried the Welsh cakes, by the way. They were delicious, and I didn't try the ones they made, but I am told that they were banging, the ones they made. So there you are.
Oh, right, okay.
There you are. But there was a serious message yesterday, and that was meeting those communities that have been affected by the flooding. And they had a sort of a small round table discussion with some of those local businesses. And we spoke to one of them afterwards, Josh Downs, who runs a barber's in Pontypridd, and he has been badly affected several times.
You can't get insurance on this street, and that financial loss, you know, any time of the year, but specifically before Christmas, is devastating. And they offered to, you know, send letters out in, you know, to hope to push it forward for us, basically.
Now I'm going to keep with the Wales trip, but something really random that's come out of the Wales trip, and that's something that Kate mentioned about jam made the front page of the papers.
Jam wars.
Jam wars, in fact.
Yes,
okay.
Jam wars. So the princess said on the second visit of the day after they left the market, they were at a sort of a community garden, and they were meeting some kids there, and there was a plum tree, and William said that Kate makes amazing plum jam, and the princess promised the children she would send the recipe. Now this has prompted jam wars, because who else makes jam?
Meghan.
Jam is her jam, if you remember from the video.
Yes.
And with her new brand, as ever, it'll be one of the things that she sells. And
Okay.
so we are literally pitting the two of them against each other, because
We're not, though, to be
We're
fair.
not, no,
We're not.
we're
It was the
not.
front of the Sun newspaper, wasn't it?
It was.
The Sun's pitting them.
I think it's really easy, isn't it, when you have you know, two people in positions like this, to find things where you can put them against each other. And
yeah, one could argue it happens more with women than it does with men. With men, they don't tend to find so many
also,
things.
this is not the first time the princess has mentioned jam. I mean, I think, you know, right back in 2012, it was reported that she was sort of making jams and things, and we know she's very able in the kitchen. So it doesn't come as a great surprise that she makes jam.
And I'm sure both those women have much more to think about, much more important things going on in their lives, rather than jam.
And if she'd like to send us the recipe, then maybe we'll give it a go too.
Oh, I don't want a recipe. I want them to send me jam.
I will note it.
Just like, send me jam.
Send me the jam. All right, I'll make a note.
Right, let's talk about the King and Queen, because I follow Asma Khan on Instagram, and I saw her post her utter excitement at having the King and Queen come down to visit her restaurant, Darjeeling Express, which is in London.
This was a terrific engagement. So the King and Queen were there. The Darjeeling Express is in Soho, and they were packing food donation boxes ahead of Ramadan. So an incredibly important community visit for the King and Queen. But it was brilliant. They really got stuck in, and there was this amazing moment. We can take a look at some of the pictures of them packing dates into paper bags.
So just put it in.
Just one.
Just one, yeah. And then thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, open more packets here.
More.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize the king would be so fast. Yeah, you're right. Oh my God, sorry.
Can I not do something to help put the thing on?
No, I'm going to do the stickers later on.
Sure.
Don't worry. I am slightly intimidated by his speed and her speed. If ever you all want to be date rappers, ever in Ramadan, we do a lot of this. You're very welcome.
I think I may be past my side.
I mean, it's really exciting, but isn't it a bit weird having all these cameras and photographers watching them bag dates?
It was fun though. They really, you know, the King's pure joy and laughter, and he was joking about, I maybe passed my sell-by date. And I think they were very impressed by the speed in which the King and Queen were packing. And we had a quick chat with Asma afterwards, and this is what she had to say.
I have to say, and I must say, I should not be prejudiced about this. He talked about sell-by date because he probably picked up that I thought, okay, he's not going to be so fast. I'll leave a few packets. He's going to take forever to pack. Oh, no. He was so fast. I was struggling. And then he was handing the bags from the back to me. I was so embarrassed because here I showed my bias. I thought, okay, he's King of England. He'll do a slow, leisurely kind of packing. Oh, no. He was in production line, packing the dates. All of us feel seen. Just before Ramadan, the King and Queen come in, they pack dates, which for us is so sacred in Ramadan.
And he looked like he was having a really good time. And that is something, I think, you know, again, I've noticed over the last few months, they've all been incredibly hands-on on engagements, whether that's packing donation bags, making Welsh cakes, playing ping pong. They've all been really getting stuck into doing things, and that makes for really good photos and really good broadcast pictures, but they also seem to be looking like they're really enjoying themselves while they're doing it. He looked like he was having a genuinely brilliant time yesterday.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, they've taken stock over the last year, they've reflected on a lot, and they're back out and having fun and enjoying themselves, and that is really coming across in the work they're doing.
And you can imagine that because obviously he's still having treatment, that he has to be very careful about the engagements that he chooses, because he does too much and perhaps be quite tiring. So you imagine that he's like, do you know what, I just want to do the stuff that I think might spark joy as well.
Well,
and Asma sent him home with, I think she packed them up some food to take home. So Asma on Instagram referred to herself as being like Deliveroo and doing a little takeaway box of food for the King and Queen.
Do you think the King knows what Deliveroo is?
I would like to think that the King does know. I'd like to think that he has that, or several other food delivery apps on his phone.
Or other delivery apps.
Because sometimes when you're sitting in Buckingham Palace, you don't always want your own chef cooking your food.
What am I going to have for dinner tonight? I want a pizza.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, you know, we've talked a lot about what a workaholic the King is.
Yeah.
The work he does brings him great joy too, but I think if there's a hole in the diary, it's what can we do, what can we fill that with, how can I get out? And he really wants to be out and about in the communities, meeting people. He's found a real joy in that, and he found that really difficult actually when he was not able to do those public-facing duties when he first started his treatment. So you can see that yesterday, and those dates are going to be sent to hospitals.
Do you know do you know who put a smile on the Queen's face?
I think this put a smile on all our faces, didn't it? This is tremendous.
Yeah, and actually, I would for anyone that hasn't seen the pictures, basically, the Queen was meeting who, Lizzie?
Gladiators ready. I love this. Shall we have a look?
Yes, let's take a look. So this is the Queen meeting, some of the big faces on the BBC, including two of the contenders, Gladiators, from the hit TV show Gladiators, of which my kids are huge fans. So the Queen met Nitro and Fire yesterday, who arrived in full costume.
I mean, it's not something you see every day at Buckingham Palace, is it?
And when I say full costume, I mean not wearing very much
costume. No, but they were at Buckingham Palace for a reception for what's known as the 500 words competition. It's a national writing competition, but these pictures are just brilliant, aren't they?
They are, and actually our director today, I sort of said to him, I was like, do you think they turned up in a tracksuit at Buckingham Palace and then changed in the loos at Buckingham Palace so they could get into their gear? And according to our director today, no, he reckons they just rocked up like that.
Well, he said, didn't he, when you're a gladiator, that's just how you are.
Yeah.
All the time, 24/7 job.
Yeah.
I love to think that.
I reckon she got home after that and had a lot to talk to the King about.
Yeah, certainly. I love the idea of walking across the forecourt in those outfits. Those just brilliant.
You can imagine all these tourists standing outside the gates of Buckingham Palace going, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, but I mean, I was in Wales yesterday. I would have loved to have been there to see that moment. It was terrific. But when the pictures dropped, I was like, we need to get that on our bulletin. That's brilliant.
And they've had an addition to the family, haven't they?
They have. Royal puppy announcement.
Oh.
So the Queen lost her rescue dog, Beth, late last year, and she still has Bluebell, but there's a new addition, and she revealed this on an engagement this week, a new puppy called Moley, because he looks like a mole, and 8 weeks, and he's a little bit of everything, according to the Queen, and he was born on Boxing Day. And so lovely news, and we await some pictures, which hopefully we might get
for next week. Do you think?
I don't know. I think we'll get them at some point. But she took Beth and Bluebell on various engagements, and Moley is a Battersea dog, like Beth and Bluebell were. So, it's lovely.
Welcome to the Talking Royals podcast,
and
Moley.
we can't wait for some photographs. That'll be lovely.
Absolutely. Well, Lizzie, that's quite the roundup
Quite a busy
Do you
week.
reckon Chris will join us next week?
Hopefully he gets better soon.
Fingers crossed. we wish you well, Chris, and come back soon. Right, you can hear us talking royals every week by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, we've got that huge back catalogue of loads of royal topics that you can listen to and watch. But until next week, have a wonderful few days.